the summer air in Hanamdong carries a quiet warmth, softened by the gentle rustle of tree leaves and the hushed clinking of porcelain cups. Inside a small, tucked-away cafe known as Makwa, actress Kim So-hyun sits by the window, sipping on iced lavender tea. She chose this place deliberately, a quiet corner of Seoul where memories feel safe, where thoughts can form freely. "I used to come here during some of my loneliest days," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "Back when I wasn't sure if I even believed in love anymore." Today, she's ready to speak about something she's never shared publicly before, why she said yes to Park Bo-gum. Fame came early to Kim So-hyun. With her debut at the age of 7, her life became a flurry of scripts, lights, and tightly choreographed appearances. From the outside, it was glamorous. But on the inside, she felt the emotional toll. "There were days I smiled at fans and cameras, then cried alone in my car," she admits. "I learned to protect myself. I convinced myself I didn't need love." Then came Park Bo-gum. Their first encounter wasn't on a film set or at a celebrity event. It was at a UNICEF charity shoot in late 2023. Both were ambassadors for the same campaign, and they found themselves in a shared green room, waiting for their turn in front of the camera. "He walked in with a bag of tangerines," she recalls with a chuckle. "He asked if anyone wanted one, and I remember thinking, is this guy for real?" What struck her most wasn't his looks or charm, though both were undeniable, but his attentiveness. When she mentioned she had skipped breakfast, he quietly offered her one of his own protein bars. No fanfare. No flirtation. Just simple, human kindness. After that day, they kept running into each other, at industry dinners, at charity events, even at the same late-night bookstore. "It was like the universe kept placing him in my path," she says. Their conversations deepened. From casual chats about books and film scores, they began talking about life, family, fears. She learned he had his own battles with pressure, with expectation. Unlike most people, he never pried into her private life or made assumptions. He was gentle. That's the word that always comes to mind when I think of him. Gentle. They would often talk about music, his compositions, her favorite playlists. One night after a long awards ceremony, he sent her a piano piece he had recorded. She listened to it alone in her room, tears filling her eyes. "It sounded like how I felt. Quiet, uncertain, but still trying." It wasn't until early 2024 that she began to sense something changing. "He sent flowers to my mother when she was hospitalized," she says, smiling. "He didn't even sign the card. I only found out because the delivery address matched a conversation we'd once had." Still, Kim So-hyun wasn't ready. Not yet. The scars of past heartbreaks and the burden of always being watched made vulnerability feel like danger. But Park Bo-gum never pushed. "He would text me good luck before shoots, send me photos of funny things he saw. But never once did he cross a line. He never made me feel obligated." Then came a difficult time. A role she had poured herself into was suddenly shelved. Rumors circulated, fingers pointed. The online backlash was swift and cruel. "I was at my lowest. I felt small. Maybe I had nothing left to give." That night, she sat alone in her car, parked outside her agency, tears blurring the city lights. "He called. I didn't answer. He showed up 20 minutes later with hot chocolate and a blanket. He didn't ask me to explain. He just sat with me." It was the first time she leaned on someone in years. And in that silence, something shifted. "I realized I had started to trust him. Not because he demanded it, but because he earned it." Trust turned into comfort. Comfort into something warmer. She remembers one spring morning, the first day she felt a shift. They were hiking Bukhansan early. Before sunrise. No cameras, no stylists, no crowds. I was panting, out of breath. I told him to go on without me. He said, "Why would I do that when the view is better with you in it?" That was the moment she began to fall, quietly, irrevocably. Kim So-hyun speaks of those months as a gentle blur: long walks, shared playlists, spontaneous road trips to the countryside. Moments that felt normal. Real. With him, I didn't feel like an actress. I felt like a person. They spent quiet mornings cooking breakfast in silence, sometimes laughing over burnt toast. She shared with him poems she had written in secret. He played melodies on the piano that had no name. I told him once that I felt like a ghost in my own life. He didn't try to fix it. He just said, "Then I'll keep you company until you feel alive again." Their relationship blossomed in quiet corners, away from headlines. And as spring approached, so did the confession that would change everything. It was a chilly April evening when it happened. They had wrapped up dinner at a small Italian restaurant in Sarai village, and as was their routine, decided to walk along the Han River before parting ways. "There's this one bench near the water where we always end up sitting," Kim So-hyun says. That night, the cherry blossoms were still lingering. It felt like something out of a drama. Park Bo-gum had been unusually quiet during the walk. I assumed he was tired. But when we sat down, he turned to me and said, "I don't want to be just your friend anymore." Didn't speak right away. She couldn't. My heart started racing, and my brain just blanked. I remember looking at the river and thinking, this can't be real. Then, he added something that stayed with her. He said, "You don't have to answer now. You don't owe me anything. But if you ever feel ready to love again, I'll be here." She cried. Not because she was sad, but because she finally felt safe. That night, I didn't give him a yes. I held his hand. And he knew. A week later, they returned to the same bench. I brought coffee this time. And I said, "I'm ready." That was it. That simple. Since then, their relationship has been a quiet flame, steady and private. They don't post about each other. They don't attend red carpets together. We're not hiding. We're just protecting what matters. Kim So-hyun says she never imagined she'd find love in the industry. She thought she had to choose career or companionship, but he showed me that love doesn't have to dim your light. The right person helps you shine. They read together, cook together, watches her dramas, even the old ones. She listens to his piano compositions, even the unfinished ones. He lets me be messy, be tired, be unsure. And he stays. It's love to me now. When news of their relationship broke, fans were surprised but overwhelmingly supportive. Many commented that their bond felt real and refreshingly honest. I read a message from a fan that said, "Made me believe in love again." And I thought, funny. It's exactly what he did for me. They now spend quiet weekends in the countryside, keeping from the noise of the city. She helps him plant herbs on his balcony garden. He helps her rehearse lines. Sometimes they make dumplings from scratch. Other times, they just nap. Love isn't a fairy tale, it's work. But with him, it doesn't feel like labor. It feels like care. They've talked about the future, carefully, without pressure. Not in terms of weddings or children, but in quiet promises. To grow together. To stay kind. To keep showing up. I told him once, "I don't know where I'll be in 5 years." And he said, "Wherever it is, I hope it's near me." Sitting in that cafe in Hanam-dong, sunlight now streaming through the window, Kim So-hyun seems at peace. No hint of performance in her tone, no hesitation in her eyes. Maybe love isn't fireworks or grand gestures. Maybe it's just someone who shows up, over and over, until you finally see what was always there. Glances down at her cup, then back at the door. "Picking me up soon. We're going to visit my mom. Promise to bring her tangerines." And with that, she smiles, the kind of smile that comes when the heart is full and unafraid. Love, as it turns out, found her not with a bang, with a whisper. And this time, she was ready to